Okay, we're going to be talking today about the CPX-AP-I or AP-A series with EthIP, and a common question from customers are how to reset the module. So I'm going to try and make this as convenient as possible and have some sample code along with some imports so that a customer can accelerate their project and get up and running real quick with some explicit message instructions. And we're going to start off with the terminal itself. Very simple topology. We've got the master EthIP module. In this case is CPX-AP-I-EP, and then I've got a IO-Link master 4-port. And I'm just going to quickly create a project, and what I've done here is I have a L30ERM basic module. I don't have any other code in here, nothing is going on. So first thing we're going to do is add a new module. You would have already had to add the EDS file for the CPX. So I'm going to select my module, say create. In my case, I'm going to call this EP111, and my address is 111, and we're going to modify and create this right here. We're going to do exact IO size, and I'm just going to pick what's in the project right now. So if I go back to the assembly view, input is 132 bytes. And the output is 128 bytes. And that's it. So we should be good and good. Close. So we're going to go online and make sure that this is working and functional. There's my PLC. Set the path and download, just to make sure that we have a path. Pause during the download here. Okay, we're going to put it into run mode, and we're online. If we go into the EDS profile, we see that we're running with no problems. This right here we can lower if we like. 1 millisecond is the lowest possible, and everything's still working. So this is good. We have a good working project. Now I'm going to go offline, and we're going to import a couple of routines that I have made. So we're going to go up to the program you want to use this with. You right click, add, say import routine, and then you go looking for, so I'm just going to put a path in. So these are the two routines I've created. We've got class 1 service 5, and we've got class 6 service 32. Class 6 service 32 is my favorite, but we'll get into the details of these. So I'm just going to import both of them. Start with this one. I'm going to say accept defaults. And I'm going to import the second one, same manner. Hit OK. So we have the two routines. Let's analyze these. So the first thing we notice here is we have a few discrepancies because I have various projects, various samples. So the sample code that will be with this will be strictly designed for the EP11, but I'll fix this while I'm here. So if you're having problems, message instructions within Rockwell are typically will come in without the right path. So I'm going to click on this, go to communication, and this is where you would pick the path of this module that you've created here. So I'm just going to hit OK. It was already done properly. Down here we can see that this was a different path I had before, so I'm just going to double click this again and pick the right path, and now we have no more errors on this rung. And if we go to the other reset routine, we're going to check the message again in this, make sure the path is pointing to this, which it is, so that's good, and this is good. So we'll go back to, well, let's start with this service. Of course, we have to add some jump routines and connection manager so that we scan, copy, paste. So now we have a call to both of these routines. And let's close this. So if I verify the controller, we have no problems. Save the project. So we come into this class 6 connection manager. So if I zoom in a little bit here, this is information I've taken from the specification and the user manuals. And if I look at this a little deeper, I've created a little document or a little picture here. And basically, if you look at the message instruction, so the message instruction, you set it up as custom, service code 32, class 6. That matches up the service 32, class 6, instance is 0, and then we have 0 for attribute. And all we have to do is execute this. And what happens when this happens? Well, this basically inhibits the module for around 4 seconds and then reestablishes connection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this project and we'll show you this in operation. Okay, so now we're going to download the project and we'll do a test. I have a webcam viewer up top here. Hopefully it doesn't stop in the middle, otherwise I'll have to restart it. Software's not the best. And on the right hand side over here I have, so we're into run mode now. So right now I have, actually let's put this turned on, turn this off. So in addition to the message instruction, I also have a get system variable to look at the status of everything. And I've created bits to see what's going on at any given time based upon the status, the entry status. And those bits are over here on the right. Right now we can see that we're running. If I was to come over here and right click, go to properties, and we're going to inhibit the module, hit apply, yes, we'll see that we are in inhibit mode now. Inhibit. So this right here is inhibit mode. The following things set up. We have just showing you the connection is inhibited. If I go back to properties and turn this off, we'll see here that it goes into run mode. This is what the connection manager is basically going to do. It puts the Ethernet IP module into a shutdown and then it restarts. It takes about 1 to 2 seconds. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show this. It might be difficult to see on the video because of the flashing, and I have a trend. Okay, so I've reconfigured this connection so I can run this, and I'm just going to put this into run mode. So now it's running, and when I go back to this, we'll see the status over here change. We see the inhibited over here come on and then go off, and in the status here, if I stop this, if I now export this, because it's not my favorite thing to use for analyzing the chart. I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to, in the background, do 5 minutes worth of work, and voila, I have this chart. So what happened in the background is the module was running, and when we executed the message instruction, it went into a shutdown, then it went into a standby, then it went into faulted because at that point it's cycling power, and then it goes into a waiting, and then it goes into a connection status, and then it goes into running back to where we see. So if we now go to the reset routine, I don't have the connection manager status, but it will still be active. This message instruction is only possible without an active I/O connection. So it means that the module must be inhibited. We'll see here that I'm on version 1.74. Let's just look at this. So we have 3 options here. So this is the parameter, and if we want to look at the thing a little closer here from my picture, so we have inside the message instruction, we have the path. So we have the path, and we set it up initially as custom, service code 5, class 1, instance 1, which matches these parameters up here, and the attribute is 1, and then we have this source element, 1 byte. That 1 byte is down here, so that's the parameter value. The parameter value is either a 0, 1, or 2 before you execute the message instruction. So let's just go back to the code. Minimize this, cancel. So we have a 0 right now. So it's going to do a power cycle. So if I enable this, watch the status, watch this over here, and we get an error. And I'm going to put a 2 in here and see if this works. No, it still does not work. So this only works when you're inhibited. So what I've determined here is that with the firmware, the existing firmware 1.74, there is actually a firmware bug in my perspective. And when you try to execute this reset service while it's not inhibited, you get an error. So if I go to properties and I change the connection and inhibit it, and zoom in a little bit here, I can go to a 0 and execute. If I put a 2, execute this, then it will execute the return to factory defaults with the exception of the communication parameters. Again, when you have the connection not inhibited, then it's a problem. So in my perspective, the best control for resetting the module when you have faults and so on and so forth is to use this connection manager object 6, which does a renew all active connections on the head module. And that's it for this video.